Ever find yourself, stuck in that daydream, the one where you ditch the alarm and say, see you later to the daily grind?
Hmm.
Yeah, like trading that soul-crushing commute for something, well, something you actually want to get out of bed
It's
for.
a pretty universal daydream, isn't it?
Totally. And guess what? That's basically the core idea behind Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Workweek.
Oh, that book's become huge.
Right. Like it's gotten shout outs from big names, Jack Canfield, that self help guru,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
AJ Jacobs. He's all about those crazy self experiments. So clearly it struck a chord. So in today's deep dive, we're getting into the nitty gritty of Ferriss's lifestyle design philosophy. We're talking actionable takeaways to help you work less and actually live more.
Sounds good to me.
Right off the bat, Ferriss hits us with this thought-provoking question. What if retirement wasn't some distant fantasy, but something you could, weave into your life right now?
He really flips the script on that whole traditional retirement idea, that finish line we're all supposed to be racing towards.
Yeah, instead of this one-time event, he proposes these mini retirements. And no, we're not talking about your average 2-week vacation.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
We're talking extended breaks, a chance to really sample your dream life before you've put in decades of work.
It's about testing the waters, figuring out what really makes you tick.
It's not just about dreaming of escape. It's about actively exploring what that escape could look like for you.
This reminds me of a story Ferriss tells about a guy named Jean-Marc who lived super simply in India for, get this, a decade.
10 years.
Yeah, a decade. You might think roughing it for that long. But get this. Jean-Marc said it was one of the happiest times of his life. And it wasn't just about minimalist living. This experience made him realize that happiness wasn't about, collecting stuff. It was about experiences, connections, not taking life so seriously.
And that ties in perfectly with the book's emphasis on being mindful of your time and not getting bogged down by the small stuff.
Totally. By simplifying, Jean-Marc freed himself up to focus on what really mattered. Which brings us to another big idea. The new rich mindset. Now, before you think this is some get-rich-quick scheme, it's not. It's way more profound than that.
Right, it's about redefining wealth on your own terms. Ferriss does this by contrasting the defer, or D, with the new rich, the NR.
Okay, so the defer versus the new rich sounds like a showdown.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
The defer is all about working tirelessly, putting in the hours now for a future filled with, well, often things they don't even want to do.
So it's freedom from something.
Exactly. Whereas the new rich, they're all about freedom to chase their passions, design a life they love today.
So it's less about how much money you have and more about how you choose to live your life right now.
You got it. It's about generating income in a way that fuels your ideal lifestyle, not just chasing some far-off payday.
And Ferriss has a great example to illustrate this, an Olympic gold medalist who also runs a crazy successful IT company.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah. Now, you'd think someone who's reached the pinnacle of athletic achievement would be all about, pushing harder, doing more, right?
That's the stereotype for sure.
But this guy, he's proof that it's not about outworking everyone. It's about working smarter.
It's about aligning your actions with your own definition of success, not just blindly following the default path.
And speaking of defying expectations, Ferriss has a really interesting take on goal setting. He's all about aiming high, really high.
Okay, how high are we talking?
He once challenged a group of Princeton students to try and get in touch with these seemingly unreachable figures.
Like who? Give me names.
We're talking J-Lo, Bill Clinton, that level of impossible to reach.
Wow, and they were supposed to actually get these people to answer questions.
Yep. But what's interesting is how the students reacted. Most of them were totally intimidated before they even started.
So they already psyched themselves out.
Exactly. And that was Ferriss's point. He argues that those unrealistic goals can often be easier to achieve than the ones we think are realistic.
Now that sounds counterintuitive. How can unrealistic be easier? Well, Ferriss says it's because of a couple of things. First off, think about the competition. Or should I say lack of competition?
Okay, yeah, less competition. That makes sense. I'm guessing most people don't even try for those big, scary goals.
Exactly. Most people are too afraid to even attempt them. Leaves the playing field wide open for those who are willing to go for it.
So what's the second reason those unrealistic goals might actually be easier?
Think about it. The second reason is motivation. When you aim for something truly remarkable, it can really fuel you through all those inevitable setbacks.
Oh, I totally get that. Like a weekend getaway. Might not get me out of bed early on a Saturday, but that dream trip to Iceland. Now that's some serious motivation.
Exactly. The point is, don't let self-doubt or what you think are your limitations hold you back. You're capable of way more than you think.
Love that. So let's say I'm ready to ditch the 9 to 5 and chase those big, audacious goals. Where do I even start?
Well, luckily, Ferriss gives us some pretty practical tools to help streamline life and free up more time. One of the most helpful, the 80-20 principle.
Oh, yeah, the Pareto principle. The idea that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your effort.
Right. And what's cool about this principle is that it applies to so much more than just work.
Yeah, yeah, relationships, happiness, pretty much every area of life, right?
Totally. So Ferriss says, use the 80-20 principle to figure out where you're either wasting energy or seeing the biggest return on your investment.
So it's about identifying what's actually making a difference and what's just noise and stress. Love it. Hit me with an example.
Okay, let's say you're feeling totally burnt out at work. You could use the 80-20 principle and realize that a few demanding clients are causing most of your stress.
Which might mean, as tough as it sounds, you got to let those clients go, even if it seems counterintuitive.
Exactly. And this is actually what Ferriss did. He decided to fire his most demanding clients.
He fired his clients. Dang.
It was a risky move, but it totally paid off. His income actually went up, but more importantly, his happiness skyrocketed. He got rid of the stress and opened up space for more fulfilling work.
Now that's what I call a win-win. It just shows that challenging the status quo and making those hard choices can lead to a happier life. Another thing that really struck me was his take on outsourcing.
Outsourcing.
Yeah, when I first heard about it, it sounded like something only CEOs did. But he makes a good argument for how anyone can benefit from it.
Right. Outsourcing isn't just about getting rid of boring tasks. It's about having more time and energy to focus on what really matters.
Yeah, instead of getting stuck doing those little things, you free yourself up for the good stuff, hobbies, family, whatever it is.
Exactly. And Ferriss actually says that by outsourcing tasks, you're often getting access to a level of expertise and efficiency you might not have yourself.
Oh, that makes sense. It's like having a whole team of specialists who can do those tasks better and faster. Whether it's scheduling, social media, or even, researching the sexiest woman alive.
Oh yeah, we can't forget that story. Perfectly shows the kind of unexpected thoroughness you might get when you outsource. Ferriss wanted to skip the whole researching the sexiest woman alive thing, so he gave the job to his virtual assistant.
Wait, and I'm guessing this VA went above and beyond.
You could say that. Ferriss got this incredibly detailed document with charts and graphs, even a whole analysis of her favorite foods.
Wow, that's dedication. I guess outsourcing can come with some fun surprises.
That's for sure. But seriously, to make outsourcing work, you need good communication, realistic expectations, and you got to start small.
So it's like any other relationship, communication is key.
Exactly. And Ferriss suggests starting with those smaller tasks to build trust before handing over anything too complicated.
Makes sense. Start small, build that trust, and be super clear about what you need.
Got it. Okay, so we've talked about outsourcing to free up time and energy, but what about actually designing the life you want? That's where things get really interesting, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ferriss doesn't just want you to work less. He wants you to build a life you don't need to escape from. He actually has this framework for doing just that. He calls it DEAL.
Deal. Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
It stands for definition, elimination, automation, and liberation. Each step kind of builds on the last one and gives you a roadmap for making those dreams a reality.
All right, I'm hooked. Let's break it down. So definition, right?
Right. Definition is all about getting super clear on what you actually want. I don't mean just vague ideas, but like specific goals. What's your perfect day? What do you want your life to look like? It's about really painting that picture of your ideal outcome.
So like creating a blueprint for your dream life.
Exactly. And once you have that clear vision, then you move on to elimination.
Time to say see ya to all those time wasters and distractions. Gotta be ruthless.
Exactly. Ferriss says to get rid of anything that doesn't really add to your goals or honestly just bring you joy. Could be pointless tasks at work, draining social obligations, or even too much news. Remember we were talking about media fasts earlier.
It's about being intentional with your time and energy and making sure your actions match your priorities.
Exactly. And by getting rid of all that clutter, you make room for what's really important. Which brings us to A, automation.
Automation. Now this is where tech comes in handy.
For sure. Ferriss is all about using technology to make your life easier. Email filters, scheduling apps, even hiring a virtual assistant for things you can easily delegate.
So it's about working smarter, not harder. What kind of things can I automate?
Tons of stuff. Think about automating bill payments, social media posts, even your grocery shopping.
No way. That's wild. Like having a personal assistant on call 24/7. So we've defined the goals, cut the distractions, and automated those annoying tasks. What's next?
A liberation. This is where you break free from that 9 to 5 grind and create a lifestyle that lets you work how you want, when you want. Pursue those passions, but on your own terms.
That's the dream. A life that feels both meaningful and fulfilling. Work and play aren't separate things, they just flow together.
It definitely is. And Ferriss has a bunch of ideas for making it happen. Negotiating to work remotely, building a business you can run from anywhere. It's all on the table.
It's about designing a life that reflects what you value, a life that's good for you.
Exactly. And don't forget, liberation isn't just about changing external things. It's about cultivating a mindset of freedom, believing in abundance.
It's about believing that a life full of passion, purpose, and, yeah, freedom is actually within reach, and then going out and making it happen.
Exactly. And remember, this is a journey, not a destination. There will be bumps along the way, but just learn from it and keep moving forward.
The 4-hour work week is such a good reminder that we've got way more control over our lives than we often realize, you know?
It's a call to action. Challenge the status quo, design a life you love, and get rid of the idea that work and play have to be separate things. Make it one awesome life.
Well said. So if you're ready to ditch the daily grind and design a life that truly lights you up, the 4-hour work week is an amazing place to start. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with something to think about. If you could work on anything for just 4 hours a week and be totally financially secure, what would it be? Seriously, take some time to really consider that. The answer might surprise you. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the 4-hour work week. Until next time, keep exploring, keep challenging, and keep designing a life that truly sets your soul on fire.